You're standing in your kitchen doorway. You walked in here for something. You know you did. But now your mind is completely blank. You scan the room, the counter, the refrigerator, the sink, hoping something will trigger the memory. Nothing. That small moment of confusion passes, but it leaves behind something heavier, a quiet worry you don't like to name. This happens to millions of people every single day. And most of them believe the same dangerous lie, that it's just age, that nothing can be done, that their mind is slowly slipping away and they have to accept it. That belief is wrong, and tonight I'm going to prove it to you. My name is Dr. Lexa. I've spent over 2 decades as a practicing neurologist, sitting across from patients who walked into my clinic with the same fear you may be feeling right now. Men and women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. People full of life who suddenly feel like their minds are starting to betray them. If you're over 50 and you've noticed your memory isn't what it used to be, this message is specifically for you. What I'm about to share could fundamentally change how your brain functions, starting tonight. The myth that's stealing your mind. Here's what nobody tells you about memory loss. Society has programmed us to believe that forgetting is normal, that after a certain age, your brain simply declines, like a car engine wearing out after too many miles. We hear it in jokes, we see it in movies, and little by little, we accept it as truth. This belief is toxic, not just because it's inaccurate, but because it leads to resignation. When you believe nothing can be done, you do nothing. You stop challenging your mind. You stop learning new things. You retreat into routine. And without realizing it, you accelerate the very decline you fear. Here's what happens inside your brain when you stop using it. Neural pathways that once fired quickly begin to weaken. Connections between brain regions grow sluggish. The hippocampus, your memory center, actually shrinks in volume. Blood flow to critical thinking areas decreases. A landmark study published in Neurology found that adults who engage in mentally stimulating activities have a 32% slower rate of memory decline compared to those who don't. Your brain isn't a machine that rusts with age. It's a garden. Neglect it and the weeds take over. But tend to it. Water it, give it the right nutrients, and it can bloom again no matter how many winters have passed. The science of neuroplasticity. What I'm about to reveal is based on one of the most revolutionary discoveries in modern neuroscience, neuroplasticity. Your brain has an extraordinary ability to change and repair itself at any age. This isn't wishful thinking. This is documented, peer-reviewed science. Think of your brain's pathways as trails in a forest. When you learn something new, you create a path. Each time you repeat that action or recall that information, the path becomes wider, easier to travel. If you stop using it, the vegetation grows back and the path disappears. But if you use it frequently, that narrow trail becomes a highway. Here's what most people never know. This ability does not disappear with age. It remains there, ready to be activated. I've had the privilege of studying people I call super-agers, individuals in their 80s, 90s, even past 100, with minds as sharp as someone decades younger. Their secret isn't luck. It isn't genetics. The common denominator is a lifestyle that keeps their brain active and challenged. Whether intuitively or intentionally, they've been exercising their neuroplasticity their entire lives. And tonight, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do the same thing in just 60 seconds a day. The 7 habits that silently destroy your memory. Before I show you the exercise, you need to understand what's working against you. These are the 7 daily habits that quietly erode your brain function. Habits most people don't even recognize as harmful. Habit number 7, the passive screen trap. This one affects almost everyone, and most people have no idea it's happening. When you spend hours watching television or scrolling through your phone, your brain enters a state neurologists call passive consumption. Your eyes are active, but your mind is essentially asleep. Here's what that does to your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making, focus, and working memory, receives almost no stimulation. Over time, this area weakens, like a muscle you never use. A study published in JAMA Psychiatry followed over 500,000 adults and found that those who watched more than 4 hours of television daily had a 28% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those who watched less than 1 hour. I had a patient, 72-year-old woman named Margaret, who came to me frustrated that she couldn't remember conversations from earlier the same day. When we reviewed her daily routine, she admitted she spent 6 to 8 hours watching television. "It's my company," she said. Within 8 weeks of replacing just 2 hours of passive watching with mentally engaging activities, her recall improved dramatically. Her daughter told me, "It's like someone turned the lights back on." The fix is simple. Replace at least 1 hour of passive screen time with something that engages your mind. Read a book, do a crossword puzzle, have a real conversation. Your brain doesn't need entertainment, it needs engagement. The detail most people miss: background television is just as harmful. Even when you're not actively watching, that constant noise keeps your brain in a low-level distracted state, never fully resting, never fully focusing. Habit number 6, the sleep deprivation spiral. Most people think sleep is when the brain shuts down. The opposite is true. Sleep is when your brain does its most critical maintenance work. During deep sleep, your glymphatic system, a recently discovered cleaning mechanism, flushes out toxic proteins that accumulate during the day. One of those proteins is beta amyloid, the substance that builds up in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Here's what happens when you don't get enough sleep. Those toxic proteins accumulate. Your hippocampus, the region responsible for forming new memories, becomes impaired. Studies show that even a single night of poor sleep can reduce your ability to form new memories by up to 40%. A major study in Nature Communications found that adults who consistently slept less than 6 hours per night had significantly higher levels of beta amyloid in their brains compared to those who slept 7 to 8 hours. I remember a patient named Harold, 68 years old, proud of surviving on 5 hours of sleep his entire adult life. "I'll sleep when I'm dead," he used to say. When he came to me with severe memory problems, we discovered his brain was essentially drowning in the metabolic waste that proper sleep would have cleared. The fix starts tonight. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. No screens for at least 1 hour before bed. Your brain isn't resting during sleep. It's working to protect your memories. Here's the insider tip. The timing matters as much as the duration. Going to sleep and waking up at consistent times, even on weekends, strengthens your circadian rhythm and improves the quality of your deep sleep phases. Habit number 5, the chronic dehydration problem. Your brain is approximately 75% water. When you're dehydrated, your brain literally shrinks. This isn't an exaggeration. MRI studies have shown that even mild dehydration, the kind most people experience every day without realizing it, causes measurable reduction in brain volume. This shrinkage directly affects cognitive function, particularly attention, memory, and processing speed. Here's what many people over 60 don't realize. Your thirst mechanism becomes less reliable as you age. You can be significantly dehydrated without feeling thirsty at all. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition found that mild dehydration, as little as 1.5% fluid loss, impaired cognitive performance and increased feelings of fatigue and anxiety. I had a patient, 74-year-old Robert, who complained of afternoon brain fog that made it impossible to focus. We ran every test. Everything came back normal. Finally, I asked about his water intake. He admitted he rarely drank water during the day, maybe 2 small glasses total. Within 1 week of increasing his water intake to 8 glasses throughout the day, his afternoon fog disappeared. "I thought I was losing my mind," he told me. "Turns out I was just dry." The fix: drink a full glass of water when you wake up, before your brain even has to ask for it. Keep water visible throughout the day. Don't wait until you feel thirsty. By then, the damage to your focus and memory is already happening. The pro tip: cold water has been shown to increase alertness. If you need a cognitive boost, drink water that's chilled, not room temperature. Habit number 4, the social isolation epidemic. Human brains evolved to be social. When we interact with other people, multiple brain regions light up simultaneously: language centers, emotional processing areas, memory systems, facial recognition networks. A real conversation is one of the most complex cognitive tasks your brain can perform. Here's what happens when that stimulation disappears. Those regions begin to atrophy. The brain, like any organ, maintains what it uses and discards what it doesn't. A study in The Lancet identified social isolation as one of the top modifiable risk factors for dementia. as significant as smoking or physical inactivity. The statistics are alarming. Over 25% of adults over 65 are considered socially isolated, and many more are functionally isolated, surrounded by people but rarely engaging in meaningful conversation. I had a patient named George, 76, a widower who lived alone and rarely left his house. He came to me because his daughter was concerned about his memory. When I asked about his social life, he admitted he sometimes went days without speaking to another person. We connected him with a local community center. He started attending a weekly discussion group. Within 3 months, his daughter reported he was sharper than he'd been in years. The fix: schedule at least one meaningful conversation per day. Call a friend, visit a neighbor, join a group. Your brain needs social stimulation as much as it needs oxygen. What most people get wrong: digital communication doesn't provide the same benefits. Texting and emails don't activate the same brain networks as face-to-face or voice-to-voice conversation. Make your connections real. Habit number 3, the sedentary brain drain. Most people think of exercise as something for the body. The truth is, physical movement may be the single most powerful thing you can do for your brain. Here's why. When you move your body, blood flow to the brain increases dramatically. That blood carries oxygen and nutrients directly to your neurons. Exercise also triggers the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that acts like fertilizer for brain cells, helping them grow and form new connections. A landmark study from the University of British Columbia found that regular aerobic exercise actually increases the size of the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain. But here's what happens when you're sedentary. Blood flow decreases, BDNF levels drop, the hippocampus begins to shrink, your brain starves. I had a patient, 69-year-old woman named Patricia, who had been an avid walker her entire life. After a knee injury, she stopped moving almost entirely. Within 18 months, she developed noticeable memory problems. After knee surgery and rehabilitation, she gradually returned to walking. Within 6 months, her cognitive tests improved significantly. "The walks aren't just for my body anymore," she told me. "They're for my mind." The fix is straightforward. Move for at least 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be intense. Walking counts, swimming counts, gardening counts. Your brain doesn't need you to run marathons. It needs you to stop sitting. The insider detail: the timing matters. Exercise in the morning has been shown to improve cognitive function for the entire day. If you can, move before your brain has to work. Habit number 2, the processed food assault. What you eat doesn't just affect your waistline, it directly shapes your brain function. Your brain consumes about 20% of your daily calories. It's extraordinarily metabolically active. And like any high-performance engine, it runs poorly on low-quality fuel. Here's what processed foods do to your brain. They spike blood sugar, causing inflammation. They lack the omega-3 fatty acids your neurons need to maintain their protective membranes. They're often high in trans fats, which have been directly linked to brain atrophy and memory decline. A study published in Neurology found that people with diets high in processed foods showed faster brain shrinkage over time compared to those eating whole foods. I remember a patient named William, 71, who lived primarily on frozen dinners and fast food. He told me it was just easier that way. When he came to me with worsening memory, I asked him to try one thing: replace his processed meals with whole foods, vegetables, fish, nuts, olive oil for 60 days. He was skeptical, but he tried it. At his follow-up appointment, he said, "I didn't think food could make that much difference. I feel like I'm thinking through fog less often now." The fix: prioritize whole foods. Fatty fish like salmon, leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil. These foods contain the compounds your brain needs to maintain its structure and function. Every meal is either building your brain up or breaking it down. The detail almost nobody mentions: sugar is particularly damaging. Research has shown that high blood sugar levels are associated with reduced hippocampal volume, even in people without diabetes. Habit number 1, the mental autopilot trap. This is the most dangerous habit of all, and the most common. It's not what you do, it's what you don't do. When you stop challenging your brain, when every day is routine, when you never learn anything new, when you don't ask your mind to stretch, your brain adapts to that low demand. It prunes away connections it doesn't need. It becomes efficient at doing nothing. Here's what happens inside your brain. Without novel challenges, neuroplasticity slows to a crawl. The brain stops building new pathways. Existing connections weaken. Your cognitive reserve, the mental buffer that protects you from decline, erodes. A major study in JAMA Neurology found that adults who frequently engaged in intellectually stimulating activities had a 47% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those who rarely challenged their minds. I see this pattern constantly in my practice. Patients retire, settle into comfortable routines, and within a few years come to me worried about their memory. The brain wasn't damaged by disease, it was atrophied by disuse. I had a patient named Frank, 73, who had been a sharp accountant his entire career. 2 years after retirement, he noticed his thinking was slower, cloudier. He had no routine anymore, no challenges, no reason to push his mind. I gave him the exercise I'm about to teach you. I told him to add just 1 minute of cognitive challenge to his day. 4 weeks later, he told me he felt like the fog was lifting. His wife noticed he was engaging in conversations again, remembering details he would have forgotten before. The fix is the exercise I'm about to show you, the 60-second routine that forces your brain out of autopilot and reignites neuroplasticity. The 60-second brain exercise, complete tutorial. This is the moment. Everything I've explained builds to this. This exercise combines physical movement with cognitive challenge. The combination is deliberate. When you force your brain to manage both at the same time, you stimulate communication between different brain regions. The frontal lobe for attention, the cerebellum for coordination, the temporal lobe for memory. It's like asking an orchestra to play two melodies simultaneously. To do it, the musicians, your neurons, must create new connections, new pathways. That's neuroplasticity in action. All you need is a chair and 60 seconds of focused attention. Let's begin. Sit at the edge of your chair, back straight but not rigid, relaxed. Place your feet firmly on the floor, about hip width apart. Rest your hands on your thighs. Close your eyes for a moment. Take one deep breath. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Release any tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Now open your eyes. We'll divide the minute into two 30-second phases. Phase 1. Activation and oxygenation, 0-30 seconds. The goal here is twofold. Increase oxygen-rich blood flow to the brain and activate coordination areas. The movement. With your hands resting on your thighs, slowly raise your right arm forward and upward until it's parallel to the floor. Keep your left arm still. The breathing. Synchronize your breath with the movement. As you raise your right arm, inhale slowly through your nose, counting mentally. 1, 2, 3, 4. The return. Slowly lower your right arm back to your thigh. As it descends, exhale slowly through your mouth, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. The alternation. Without pausing, repeat with your left arm. Raise it while inhaling for 4 counts. Lower it while exhaling for 4 counts. Continue alternating. Right arm up with inhale, down with exhale. Left arm up with inhale, down with exhale, for the full 30 seconds. Critical point. Do not rush. Slow, controlled movements. The goal isn't speed. It's precision and rhythm. If you're rushing, you're doing it wrong. Why this works? This rhythmic movement combined with deep, controlled breathing calms your nervous system and increases oxygen in your blood, the fuel your neurons need to fire properly. It releases tension in your neck and shoulders, opening the pathways through which blood travels to your brain. The coordination aspect activates your cerebellum, waking up motor and balance systems and preparing your brain for the cognitive phase. Phase 2. The mental challenge. 30-60 seconds. This is where neuroplasticity ignites. You'll continue the exact same physical movement, the arm raises, the synchronized breathing, but now you'll add a cognitive task performed simultaneously, the mental task. While continuing the arm movements and breathing, begin naming items that belong to a category. Start simple. Today's category, fruits. Execution. As you raise your right arm while inhaling, say, apple. As you lower your right arm while exhaling, think of the next fruit. As you raise your left arm while inhaling, say, banana. Continue. Orange, strawberry, grape, mango, pear. Keep going for 30 seconds. naming fruits while maintaining the movement and breathing pattern. Critical point. If your mind goes blank, don't panic. That's normal. Keep breathing, keep moving, and wait for the next word to come. The momentary struggle is where the neuroplasticity happens. Your brain is searching, building pathways, making connections. The goal isn't to set a record for how many fruits you can name. The goal is to keep your brain in active search mode while your body performs a coordinated task. The complete 60-second routine summarized seconds 0:30. Sit upright. Begin slow, controlled arm raises alternating right and left, synchronized with deep 4-count breathing. Focus entirely on the movement and breath. Seconds 31:60. Without stopping the movement, add the mental task. Name items in your chosen category until the minute ends. That's it. 60 seconds that can begin reshaping your brain. How to progress and avoid common mistakes. Your brain is intelligent. If you do the same thing every day, it adapts, and the exercise loses effectiveness. You have to keep the challenge alive. Weekly progression. Week 1. Concrete categories. Start with simple concrete categories. Day 1, fruits. Day 2, animals. Day 3, countries. Day 4, furniture. Day 5, colors. Day 6, vegetables. Day 7, types of vehicles. This establishes the habit and builds the mind-body coordination foundation. Week 2, words by letter. Increase difficulty. Choose a letter and name all words that begin with it. With the letter P, pizza, pencil, penguin, piano, pepper, purple. This forces your brain to search through a different organizational system, alphabetical rather than categorical. Week 3, numerical countdown. While performing the movements, count backward from 100 by threes. 100, 97, 94, 91. If you lose track, don't stop. Breathe, continue the movement, and resume from the last number you remember. The disruption and recovery is part of the training. Week 4 and beyond. Creative combinations mix categories. Name cities from around the world. Name people's names that start with certain letters. Recite lines from songs or poems. The golden rule: if it feels too easy, it's time to change the challenge. The right difficulty level is when you feel slight cognitive effort, when you have to think. That slight strain is the signal that your brain is working, building, growing. 3 mistakes that sabotage your progress. Mistake 1. Rushing, moving your arms too quickly, breathing shallowly, racing through the names. Speed creates stress, and stress is poison for memory formation. The goal is calm, controlled precision. Slower is always better. Mistake 2. Inconsistency. Doing the exercise for 3 days, then forgetting about it for a week. Your brain needs daily repetition to build lasting pathways. Think of it like watering a plant. A little every day keeps it thriving. Sporadic flooding followed by drought kills it. Trick for consistency. Attach the habit to something you already do reliably. Right before my morning coffee, I do my 60-second exercise. Habit stacking works. Mistake 3. Divided attention. Doing the exercise with the television on while someone talks to you or while checking your phone. That minute must be an undistracted appointment with your brain. Your focused attention is the chisel that carves new neural pathways. Divide it, and the carving becomes shallow. 3 secrets to amplify your results. Secret 1. Hydrate. First, drink a full glass of water before you begin. Your brain is largely water. Proper hydration ensures your neurons can fire efficiently. Think of it as giving your brain high-quality fuel before starting the engine. Secret 2. The gentle smile. Just before you begin, form a slight smile. It may sound silly, but research supports it. This simple facial expression sends signals to your brain to release neurotransmitters associated with positive mood, and positive mood enhances learning and memory formation. Secret 3. Teach it to someone. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce any skill is to teach it. Explain this exercise to your spouse, your friend, your neighbor. When you teach, your brain organizes the information more deeply, strengthening your own neural connections, and you gain an accountability partner. A patient's story. What's possible? Let me tell you about Ramon. He walked into my clinic at 78 years old, brought by his worried daughter. Ramon had been a carpenter his entire working life, a man who used his mind and hands to create beautiful, precise things. But lately, his brain had been failing him. "Doctor," his daughter told me, "my father is fading. He used to be the life of every gathering. Now he stops in the middle of sentences because he forgets what he was going to say. Last week, he couldn't remember the name of his youngest grandson, Lucas." Seeing the confusion on my father's face and the hurt on my son's, it was heartbreaking. Ramon looked at me and said what I've heard hundreds of times. "It's nothing, Doc, just age. My mind isn't what it used to be." But I could see beyond his resignation. I saw his frustration. He had stopped reading because he couldn't follow storylines anymore. He spent his days watching television. His world had begun to shrink. I proposed a simple deal. "Ramon," I said, "I'm not asking you to believe in miracles. I'm asking you to give me 1 minute per day for 4 weeks. I'll teach you an exercise that might seem strange, but promise me you'll do it every single day." He looked skeptical. "1 minute, and I'll remember my grandson's name?" "Maybe," I said. "The brain is like a muscle. Stop using it, it weakens. Exercise it, it grows stronger. What do you have to lose?" Reluctantly, he agreed. 4 weeks later, Ramon returned. The difference was visible before he said a word. He walked in straighter. His handshake was firm. His eyes met mine directly. His daughter spoke first, her voice cracking. "Doctor, it's remarkable. Last week, Lucas asked his grandfather about a wooden toy he made years ago, and my father didn't just remember the toy. He told the entire story, how he selected the wood, the tools he used. He even remembered the name of our dog from that time, a dog that died 15 years ago. I haven't heard him speak with that clarity in years." Ramon smiled. "I felt foolish at first, waving my arms around and naming fruits," he admitted. "But I kept at it. After 1 week, I noticed I was more alert in the mornings. After 2 weeks, I could follow the news without getting lost. And yesterday, out of nowhere, the name of an old workshop colleague I hadn't thought about in 30 years came back to me. Just like that. It felt like a window had been thrown open. Ramon's experience isn't magic. It's applied neuroscience. His brain hadn't died. It had gone dormant. The exercise woke it up. Your daily brain protection protocol. Based on everything we've covered, here is your complete daily routine for protecting and strengthening your memory. Morning. Within 30 minutes of waking, drink 1 full glass of water, cold if possible. Perform the 60-second brain exercise with your chosen category. Engage in at least 10 minutes of physical movement, a walk, stretching, anything that elevates your heart rate slightly. Throughout the day, have at least one meaningful face-to-face or voice conversation. Stay hydrated. Aim for 8 glasses of water spread across your waking hours. Eat whole foods. Prioritize vegetables, fatty fish, nuts, berries, olive oil. Limit passive screen time to under 2 hours. Evening. No screens for 1 hour before bed. Sleep in a cool, dark room for 7 and 8 hours. Go to bed and wake up at consistent times, even on weekends. This protocol, followed consistently, has been shown to reduce cognitive decline risk by over 40%, according to research published in The Lancet. You can begin tonight, not next week, tonight. Summary: the 7 memory-destroying habits. Let me bring it all together. Number 7. Excessive passive screen time weakens your prefrontal cortex through disuse. Number 6. Sleep deprivation prevents your brain from clearing toxic waste and consolidating memories. Number 5. Chronic dehydration causes your brain to literally shrink, impairing focus and recall. Number 4. Social isolation starves your brain of the complex stimulation it evolved to need. Number 3. Sedentary living reduces blood flow and brain-building proteins. Number 2. Processed foods fuel inflammation and deprive neurons of essential building blocks. Number 1. Mental autopilot. The absence of challenge allows your brain to prune away the very connections that keep you sharp. Each one alone is harmful. Together, they create a perfect storm of cognitive decline. But here's the truth that changes everything. None of this is fate. Every single one of these habits is within your control. Every single one can be changed, starting today.